Okay, now I think we're recording. Hi, everybody. I'm Cari Gray, your Director of HR, and this is Genesis Training. Before we get into Genesis, though, I thought I would introduce you to my team. So let me share my screen here with you. And here they are. You can see that I'm at the top as your director, and these are the things that I'm involved in on a regular basis to support you and the rest of our management teams and our company. Next, we have Anita Edson, and she's our benefits specialist, meaning she handles all things benefits related. She also processes our terminations and handles unemployment claims. And then we have Carla Sutliff. She's our HRIS administrator, and HRIS stands for Human Resources Information System. And in our world, that is Genesis. And that's what we're here to do today. So before we get into the system, I'm going to turn my camera off. And the reason I'm doing this is that I have found in these types of trainings, sometimes the voice and the mouth movements don't match, which can be very distracting. So I do not want to put you through that today. You've had an opportunity to log into Genesis and look around. So here we are at the home screen. Your information will be right here, and you will also have these 6 widgets. Our employees only have these 5 widgets. You have the My Team widget because you are a manager, and My Team is your team. Before we had this start menu here with these widgets, we would have to maneuver through the blue hamburger menu. And that really kind of is cumbersome in my opinion. You can still use it, but I'm not going to train you on that today. I'm going to train you the easy way to get where you need to go. Before we get into the My Team, the manager widget, I'm going to go ahead and go through the employee widgets because you are an employee, even though you're a manager, and you need to know these things as well. So as an employee, you have the pay and benefits widget. And so you have access to view your pay statements. You can view your direct deposits. You can also change your direct deposits here. You can view your benefits and see what you have once you've enrolled. You can request a pay advance or early pay with our partner, Zayzoon. And then you can also preview your benefit statement. And the benefit statement isn't really a list per se, it's actually a pie chart, and it shows you the amount of money that the company contributes toward all the benefits that you are part of. Next, we have the tax information and documents. So you have your W-2s, and all your W-2s will be housed here. So even if you work for us for 5 years, hopefully you will, you have 5 years of W-2s here. The withholding, and I'll show you how to make a change there in a second. This is your tax withholding, meaning your W-4 forms. And then the 1095-C, this is the healthcare form that came out with Obamacare several years ago. You don't need it now to file your taxes, but we're required to make it available to you. So back to tax withholdings here. You have an opportunity to make changes in the system. And by doing that, you click Add New. You can choose federal or state. You can change them both. You'll just have to do them individually. I'm going to change federal, or pretend to change federal. And so you just click Add, and then here's your electronic form. So I would complete this information, and then I would sign it with my password, my Genesis password, and then I would click Submit. I can save it and come back to it, but I have to submit it in order for the system to recognize it. And I didn't make a change, so I'm not going to click Submit at this point. Okay, time off. Well, who doesn't want time off? This is how you request time in Genesis. For our cafe managers, the procedures for you to get verbal approval with your general manager first. We need to make sure that there is availability in the schedule to allow for the time that you're wanting to take. And then once you have that approval, you have to come into Genesis and request it in advance. You have to request it before you take it, or otherwise it won't be paid. So to request it, you just click the request button and you choose the type of time off. And what's available to me is bereavement, sick, and vacation. You also have the benefit of floating holidays. So I'm going to take vacation. Doesn't want to take vacation. The minute you click the type of time off, your balances are going to come up. I've been with the company a really long time, so I'm fortunate that I start with 4 weeks. But it's going to show me what I've taken, what I have left, and what I have scheduled if I have any time scheduled that I haven't taken yet. It's also going to show me my benefit anniversary date. This is your full-time date and the date that your benefits or your PTO resets every year. So mine's going to reset on June 1. So my current balance is 76 hours. I'm going to need to take these before June 1 because we don't roll over vacation time. Okay, back to the request because I'm dying to go someplace. I'm going to click Start Request, and it already defaults to vacation since I've selected that already. The request type, well, let's say I want to go for a week. So I'm going to click multiple days here, and I'll just pick the from date and the to date. And you can see the pop-up calendars available, or you can just type it in. And then the hours per day. So our team managers, this would be 8. And then you're required to fill in the comment field. So let's say I want to go to Mexico. And then once you complete all the required fields, the Submit Request button will turn blue, and then you'll click Submit. Another thing I wanted to point out is we do have bereavement time, and the balance is 0. And the reason for that is that we do not anticipate every employee needing to take bereavement time every year. So if you take bereavement time, let's say you take all 3 days for immediate family member, that's 24 hours. So it'll go into a negative balance. It'll show negative 24, and that's okay for bereavement. You just can't go into a negative balance for your other paid time off benefits. Also under this widget is, got too fast here, for balances. So if you don't necessarily need to request time, but you're curious about your balances, you can click the balance and then it will have them all on one screen. Your balances are also on the bottom of your pay statement, every payroll. All right, let's go to my account. You can change your password here. You can change your security question here. And then my profile, you can also make changes here. Your profile contains your personal data. This would include your name and your social security number, your address, your phone number, your email address, your emergency contacts. If you've enrolled in our benefits and you've insured family members, your dependents' names will be here. And this is also, I think I mentioned email address. This is where we would like for you to change your email address. So if you haven't done this already, now you'll know where to go. So put your personal email address into the secondary field, and then you'll type in your Panera Bread email address in your primary email account field. Okay. You might notice that every time I go back to the home screen, I'm going to click this arrow right here. Another thing you can do, regardless of where you are in the system, if you want to get back to the home screen, all you need to do is click on the green Panera logo. And voila, you're back. The last thing for our employees is the Docs and Forms widget. And these are company documents. These documents are different than what is in ROSNet. ROSNet has forms and documents, but those are for manager use only. So they contain documents like, performance evaluations, some of our policies, the disciplinary action write-up form, things along those lines that our employees don't need to have access to. So everyone in the company would like to have access to these documents. So you can see here's benefits. Scrolling down, we have job descriptions, leave of absence documents and information, and then a variety of reference documents. We have our handbook, we have the org chart, Rise Up for Friends. And then these user guides are information about Genesis itself. But after attending this training today, you won't even need these user guides. All right, so we're done with the employee widgets. So now you're going to put on your manager hat. We're going to go to My Team and Employee Information. I'm actually going to click this last because I'm going to spend the most time here. The next two things are Account Unlock and Password Reset. And again, you have your manager hat on. So the Account Unlock and the Password Reset would be for your employees. The screens look the same. And if you need to unlock an account, you're just going to type in either their first or last name. And I'm just going to search for myself. Here I am. And I'm going to click Unlock. The password reset screen is the very same. You search for the name, and then you click on it, and then you click Password Reset. Also, other information for you are your employees' birthdays, and it's in a calendar format. So if you like to celebrate your birthdays, I certainly encourage you to do that with a card or cake or however you want to recognize them. You can look at the calendar and it'll be in that format. And you can even page forward, or you can pick a date. And that's going to show you who's on the 22nd. Let's see. Let's say we want to go into March. And so this is the first week of March, all the birthdays there. These are the birthdays I have access to because I have access to everybody. You probably won't have as many birthdays on your calendar. Pay statement history. Again, these are your employee pay statements. So if an employee has a question or has a problem and you want to view their pay statement, you can click on that, and then you would click here to preview their pay statement. What it'll do is your list will have all the employees here, and the most recent pay date should be on top. If for some reason Skylar had a question about a January pay stub, you could filter just for her pay stubs. And to do that, you could type in Skylar here under first name, or you could type in Abbott here if you have two Skylars in your cafe. And you can click the enter button, or you can click over here, this refresh button. So now you can see that there are 4 pays for Skylar, and here are the 2 January payrolls that you're wanting to view. Also on this screen, anytime there's an employee list screen like this, you can change the pages as far as how many employees you can view per page. The default typically is 10 or 20, but you could come down here and you could click 200, which is what I would do. So you would have access to everybody all the time. There you go. So I could continue to scroll for 200, and that would include in your cafe all your employees, because no one has more than 200 employees in their cafe. If you want to save this, then you would actually come here to Save View, and then you would name it. I already named mine, but you could just name yours 200 rows, and then you would save it. I'll get into more of this kind of thing in a minute when we get to that employee information screen. Kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit. Sorry about that. The last thing that you'll need to have access to and look at fairly frequently, I have a feeling, is the incident window. And the incidents in our world are write-ups. So my list of employees are test employees due to confidentiality. When you pull this up, you'll have access to all of your employees that have write-ups. Write-ups do not fall off. So if you have a 5-year employee that's had write-ups at year 3, 4, and 5, then those write-ups will be here. Again, even the old ones will still be here. This information is going to give you their name, their job title, their status, which would be active. It'll tell you the incident date, the type of violation, the incident level, and just a brief description of what that incident entails. It's important to look at the incident date when you need to issue another write-up. So we do have a 1, 2, 3 termination level process. So if someone goes 6 months without having any write-ups at all, then they start over at level 1. If they're already on a first level and it's within the same 6 months and they have an incident, then you would do a second level. The only time you can skip levels is with my approval, and that's going to be for situations that involve misconduct, severe insubordination, like cussing, for example, and I need to know about those. So share those with me, and I can give approval to skip levels when it comes to write-ups. Also here, you can view the window. So here we have the third level warning and the information there. And the paperclip has the actual write-up attached to it. Again, these are test employees. Thought I had one with one. Maybe I don't. Try this one. Nope, I guess I don't. So you can view the actual write-up that gets attached to each one. All right, so this is your incident piece. All right, we are going to go back to employee information. I said I would do this last because I'm going to spend the most time on it. This is your employee roster, and it looks similar, doesn't it, to the other lists that I've shown you, the payroll statement list and the incident list that we just looked at. Every column heading can be sorted, ascending or descending. And you can actually filter by typing in a name. And one of the things I would like for you to do, because you can build different views, but if your view right here says default or system, I'd like for you to click here and click the associate verification report. And that's going to give you a lot more information on your employees versus the system setting. The system setting only gives you a few columns, whereas the verification report's going to give you their next review date, their job title, their status, their seniority date, whether they're full or part-time. It's going to give you a lot of information. And there's some stuff missing here because these are test employees, but you will have a column filled for every employee of yours. You won't have any blanks there. Also, a question I get fairly frequently is, I don't have access to my terminated employee, so I can't check to see if someone is eligible for rehire. Well, you actually do have access to your terminated employees. You just need to turn off the filter. So your status here probably says not terminated or something along those lines. So if you actually delete this field and then hit the enter key or refresh, it's going to pick up every one of your employees, whether they're active on a school break or they're terminated. So I have mine defaulted so I don't see terminated people. Also, anytime you have a list like this, you can export it to another format. So I export a lot to Excel. You come over here to these three dots, click export, and you pick your format. I'm just going to pick Excel since I'm used to doing that. Click export. It'll download and you'll click on it. Mine actually pops up over here. And then here you are. This is the very same information that's on your screen. If you need to manipulate it in some way, obviously you'll click the enable editing piece. And you can do what you want to with the data. If you also would like to change your rows, remember I showed you before that you would want to click the page, and yours is probably set on 10 or 20. I would click 200. And what this will allow you to do is it's going to allow you to scroll up and down your list rather than having to page forward, page forward, page forward. Because if your setting is on 10 employees and you have 50, that's kind of a pain to have to page forward 5 times if you want to view everybody. Again, if you make any changes, such as changing the number of pages or the number of rows in your pages, or you change this to be your default associate verification, you need to save this setting. So you'll go back over here to these 3 dots and you will save the view and you will name it. If you want to keep the same name, you can. You will click default because you want this to be your view every time you access the employee information list. So you'll click default and then you'll save it. To view the employee's actual record, you would click on this person icon. And you're going to have these 3 tabs, main, HR, and payroll. I've created these others for myself just to help me maneuver within the system. The main tab is going to contain their base compensation information. It'll have their employment dates, their review dates. It'll have their job title, how long they've been in that job, their pay grade. It'll have the managers, your name should be here. That's the only way you get to have access to view them. And it'll have other things about them. It'll have the location and department, which would be retail, and the department would be the name of your cafe. The HR tab is where you'll find the incidents. If you need to view an incident. Here we are, this incident window. This is the same thing I showed you a second ago. It's just that individual person's incidents. This job change history, anytime an employee has a job change, a location change, a pay change, it'll create a history here. So if someone's been with us for quite some time, then this is going to be a really long list. You'll also have employee documents. This is where write-ups are stored. We also upload performance appraisal forms, anything that is related to the employee that they have signed. So we do not have paper personnel files here in Springfield anymore. Everything is electronic through Genesis. We also have custom fields. Probably the one that you would be interested in the most would be the very first one, which is former or other name. So if the employee goes by another name, or from a last name perspective, they've been divorced or they've gotten married and had a name change, that information is here. The other tab is the payroll tab, and I don't think you'll need to access it very often because it's their personal information regarding their deductions, their direct deposits, their tax information, that type of thing. So I don't really think you'll use that. You will probably use the main tab the most. All right. I think that is it. As you sign on, or the next time you sign on to Genesis and look around and do what you need to do, if you struggle or if you can't remember something, you're certainly welcome to reach out to me or contact Carla or Anita, and we would be glad to help you at any time, even if it's not related to Genesis. We'd be glad to help you at any time. So thanks for your time this afternoon, this morning, whatever time of day it is, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.